What's up, everybody? It's your boy Brandon Blakeney, aka Brandon Lee TV. Welcome back to the Live with Brandon Blakeney podcast. You know I got another banger for y'all, so kick back, relax, and come take a ride with your boy, man. Now, the matchups for the SEC-ACC Challenge have been announced. Of course, we know now that those defending undefeated national champions, South Carolina Gamecocks, will host Carol Lawson and Duke in a matchup, and it should be spicy. These teams met in Durham earlier this past season where, South Carolina did their thing and won the game without a doubt, to say the least, man. Both teams return a lot of talent. Both teams will be in the top 10 next year, I believe. And it could be potentially a top 10 matchup when these two go at it in the ACC-SEC Challenge. We're going to break down the matchup, talk about the rest of the matchups, and get into it a little bit. But before we do all that, make sure y'all hit the subscribe button for all the latest and the greatest, and join our memberships. We got that exclusive content coming daily, weekly, whenever you need it. Now, let's get into it.
You are now locked into the Live with Brandon Blakeney podcast. Here is your host, Brandon Blakeney.
So we mentioned Coach Don Staley bringing back an absolute mob. South Carolina, easily the number one team in the country. In my last video, I broke down their biggest threats, their biggest competition. A lot of transfer portal movement, but South Carolina is definitely the champs. Today ain't the champs no more, y'all. And they just bring back a gauntlet of talent led by Ashlyn Watkins, Chloe Kitts. They brought in the transfer doubter who can really shoot the rock and spread the floor. Just another toy for Coach Don Staley. Sanaya Fagans, Kemah Walker also both coming back. This front court is absolutely loaded. You got Joyce Edwards in the mix that can play basically the 1 through the 5. It's just loaded. The backcourt, surprise, Tahina Powell decides to come back. On top of that, you return Raven Johnson, SEC Tourney MVP, Malaysia Fool Wiley, big-time NCAA tournament performer, rising sophomore Tessa Johnson in the lineup as well. Backcourt, front court, they're absolutely stacked. They bring in Adele Tack, Joyce Edwards, we mentioned Maddie McDaniel, who's coming off an injury. May not see a whole lot of time this year, but they have an absolute mob in South Carolina, and it's scary to say. I think this group could be better than they were last year, and they just went undefeated. They replaced 5 starters to the WNBA draft, and it didn't matter. They didn't skip a beat. They will miss Camila Cardoso, but they're not going to skip a beat. We saw them play 4 games without her and continue to dominate. They have more than enough firepower to get it done, and I expect them to roll the Duke Blue Devils once again, but I think it'll be a good matchup, and it'll be a good coaching battle between two of the top coaches in women's college basketball. A little bit of background. So the inaugural SEC-ACC Challenge tipped off last year. It was an even 7-7 tie for both the men's and women's events, which is nuts. This year, the field looks a little bit different, man, with the additions of Cal, SMU, and Stanford going over to the ACC, and then Oklahoma and Texas joining the SEC. So this is a loaded event that is going to draw some big-time viewership. Looking at some of the matchups, of course, Duke, South Carolina, Kentucky, UNC. Coach Kenny Brooks coaching against his former conference, Auburn, Virginia, SMU, Mizzou, BC, Arkansas, Alabama, Cal, Florida, Clemson, Ole Miss, NC State will be one fun to watch. Notre Dame and Texas is going to be a mega matchup. Tennessee and Florida State should be fun. Virginia Tech, Georgia, Mississippi State, Georgia Tech, Oklahoma, Louisville, Syracuse, Texas A&M, Vanderbilt, and Miami are all the matchups, and this is going to be a really fun event. A lot of talent, man. But it's going to be an uphill battle for the ACC, man. They lose Kenny Brooks. Virginia Tech will be reloading for their efforts. Stanford, national powerhouse, but they're also going to be reloading. Deja Kelly left UNC. There's going to be a lot of shifts. I love NC State. I love Notre Dame. That Notre Dame-Texas game could be a top 5 matchup, so definitely got to preview that one. But as far as the Duke-South Carolina matchup, man, we mentioned these teams met last year. South Carolina took the win 77-61. They outshot the Blue Devils 50% from the field, holding the Devils to 36.9. Now, Duke did shoot the three really well, but South Carolina shot a whopping 60% compared to 47.8%. They dominated the free throws and overcame a kind of a bad free throw shooting night. They dominated on the glass. I think this could be an area where it could improve for Duke next season. They're bringing in a lot of size in that freshman class. I'm excited to see Toby Fournier. And I think, that front court will definitely get a boost for those freshmen. And they're bringing a lot of talent back, man. As far as the assists, Duke won the assist battle, the blocks battle, and the steals battle. They played South Carolina very tough for 3 quarters, man. And they forced South Carolina into 20 turnovers. I do think that this game was a lot closer than the 77-61. But they return a lot of talent. Now, South Carolina was led by Camila Cardoso in this matchup. Obviously, she will be gone. Chloe Kitts was the second leading scorer with 14 points, though. She'll be back. Raven Johnson, Breezy Hall, Tahina Powell, Ashlyn Watkins, Malaysia Fulwiley. All these players, Sanaya Fagan, Tessa Johnson, all these players will be back for this matchup this upcoming season. Ashlyn Jackson is a bucket. Reagan Richardson is a superstar waiting to happen. She led the Blue Devils, had 17. Jaden Donovan, very versatile freshman for them last year. But they're bringing in more size, and I think that will definitely help their efforts. I think for South Carolina, it will be continuing to dominate the glass, but with a lineup that could feature Kitts and Dowda in some lineups, man, having 5 potential shooters on the court is going to be extremely hard to guard. I love what South Carolina did. Looking at what the starting lineup could be, there are a lot of options. It could be game to game sometimes, man. Just loaded talent, and definitely they're the champs till they ain't the champs no more. This is going to be a big matchup for them, and I'm excited to see it. I think that they will continue to play tough competition. People have been saying that they've been ducking UConn. I just don't see a situation where South Carolina is ducking anybody. They don't have a reason to. Dawn Staley, they got the best coach, they're defending champs, and they have the best roster in the nation. Them Gamecocks ain't dodging nobody. But I do think Duke will be a tougher matchup this upcoming year than they were this past year. So it'll be exciting to see as we continue to get close to the season. We'll continue to preview more games and get deeper into it. But y'all let me know how y'all feel. Let me know the starting 5. Let me know, is this win or bust for South Carolina? Are they going to run the gauntlet again and get that second championship in a row? Y'all holler at your boy. Let me know how y'all feel. That's a wrap for us. For all the latest and the greatest, I am Brandon Blakeney, a.k.a. Brandon Lee TV. Until next time, hey, we out.